Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Winter Haven Chamber's 2022 virtual WhistleStop political rally. Joining us today is Sarah Jones, candidate for Polk County School Board District 6. Sarah, thank you so much for participating in this year's virtual WhistleStop. As a reminder, the Greater Winter Haven Chamber does not endorse candidates, but by purchasing this interview, you have allowed our chamber to educate the citizens of Polk County about the upcoming election and the issues and candidates on the ballot. Before we get started, the Florida Division of Elections does require you to disclose the fact that your campaign has purchased this video interview with the following statement.
Paid political advertisement paid for and approved by the Sarah Jones campaign for Polk County School Board District 6.
Perfect. Now let's jump into the questions. So first and foremost, just tell me a little bit about yourself and why you are choosing to run for Polk County Public School Board.
Okay, well, hello. As you know, I'm Sarah Jones. I'm running for District 6. A little bit about me. I am from Polk County. I'm actually fifth generation from Polk County, which I'm very proud of. And I was basically raised in Polk County public schools, and I feel like I've told this story 100 times over this campaign. But my mom started teaching when I was a very young child, and she actually started her first year of teaching when I was in first grade. So I was basically raised in Polk County Public Schools. After school every day, I had to come and volunteer in my mom's classroom. I was always a gifted student, so I ended up tutoring and teaching a lot of other students. And that word got around really quickly. And so I started helping all of her peers. And I would put together classrooms over the summer. And that was like my whole childhood. And throughout high school, I became a mentor. And when I went to college, I think that was sort of my habit to be a tutor, a teacher, and be in schools. And so I was actually a tutor to other students when I was in college, and I worked and mentored in public schools in Leon County when I was in Tallahassee in college and then in law school in Orlando. And then when I moved back to Polk County in 2016, again, even though I was starting my own business and I had come home to take care of my dad, it just kind of seemed like the natural thing to do to volunteer my time for kids and for educators and make sure the educational process was as beneficial to other people as it had been to me. And so over the years I've been volunteering in schools, and when Lynn Wilson announced late last year that he was not going to run for this seat, I had a number of people come to me and say, "Hey, will you run for District 6?" And I said no. And over the course of several months I thought about it and I changed my mind and I decided to run for it. And I'm glad that I did, and I'm excited for the opportunity.
Awesome. That's awesome. Now, what do you believe are our school district's greatest strengths?
I think that we have great staff and we have great students. Like our one of our greatest strengths is our people. And I think that that's one of the reasons that I'm running to sort of re-energize the thought process around that, because I think sometimes we get down on each other as human, but our educators are wonderful. Our superintendent has been doing a great job, and we have a really, really great generation of youth that's coming through our schools. And we can harness that power and make sure that they're really, really successful.
Awesome. Now, kind of on the flip side, what do you believe are our school district's greatest challenges?
I think right now our biggest challenge is probably our educator crisis. Even though we have some great educators in the classroom, we don't have nearly enough of them. And we see teachers leaving the profession in droves, not just in Polk County, but around the country. And we need to, like, we can't educate the growing population of students that we have coming into our schools without filling those classrooms with great teachers who are certified and who can do a great job for our students.
Awesome. So, building off of that, what do you believe should be the school board's top three priorities in the coming year?
I think that we need to address the educator crisis, obviously. We need to address cultural issues. We have a lot of schools around the district that the culture has kind of slipped, and there is not that same community culture around excellence. And I don't mean that every school needs to have the same culture, but each school needs to know what its culture is around excellence, and everybody on that campus and everybody in that community it needs to be something that they can buy into. And so I think that that's one of the things that I really want to address. And we have to make sure that we're addressing school safety and student deviance. We see around the country a growing problem with school safety and some really, really extreme things happening. And I'm glad that we're in a county where we have law enforcement and a school board that can work together to make sure that we don't have those extreme extreme instances. But what we have seen echoed in Polk County that we've seen around the country is a rise in student crime and student deviance, and an overall feeling that there's not an ability of the staff to really corral the students and get them to do what they need to do. And I think part of the way to address that is cultural issues, but I think we need to dig into the sociology, the criminology of that, which happens to be my what my degrees are in, and make sure that we're understanding why our students are doing these things, why they're getting into this type of trouble, and how to reverse that process so that we can make sure that all of our students can be successful.
Awesome. Now, the Winter Haven Chamber, we are a membership based organization serving and representing around 750 members in the Winter Haven and Polk County community as a whole. And we are hearing from a lot of our members about how they're having trouble finding people to hire for all the jobs that are available across all of the industries.
Yeah.
So, what role do you feel or do you believe that K through 12 education plays in preparing for our future workforce?
I think it plays a huge role. So there's a lot of students who that's the only formal education that they're going to get is that K through 12 education. And I think that we need to be putting some emphasis on making sure that that education prepares them for real life. I love the idea that people talk about we need to teach reading, writing, and arithmetic, and obviously we need to do those things, right? But there's a whole host of skills that our students need, and I think that there has been a huge gap as well because many of our teachers grew up in an era that is sort of pre-social media, pre-internet, and most of our students grew up in a world that was never, pre-internet. And so there are a lot of skills. Like I heard someone say that students don't know how to write a check. I have a 27-year-old employee that I had to teach how to write a money order. And there are some basic skills, and I think that there needs to be a connection between the business community saying this is what we need, and this is if you want to be a business owner, these are the types of things you need to know. And your members and the rest of the chamber members, I think, need to be involved in local schools so that the school themselves and also the school board knows what the community expects when a student is done with high school. And although some students are going to go on to post-secondary education, there are a lot of students that we want to stay and invest in our community, and they need to be prepared for that process.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, the final question is why should voters choose you over the other candidates?
So there's only one other candidate in my race, and I've said the whole campaign that I'm not running against him. I'm running for the school board. And so I think that Mr. Sharpless is a nice guy, but I think that I am the right candidate for this moment in history. I have a long history of advocating for my community. I'm an attorney. I have a long history of advocating for my clients. And what that involves in large part is sort of putting my own interests to the side, looking at the situation objectively, and coming up with really creative and sound solutions that are going to set long term um, a long-term pathway for success. And I do that professionally. I do it every day, and I do it very well. And like I said, I've done that for individuals in my job, and I've done that for my community here in Lake Wales. And I think that if you ask anyone who's worked with me, I'm well respected amongst my peers, and I'm well respected amongst my adversaries. And I think that we need someone who can work across the aisle, who can listen to people, who is not going to insert their own judgment or their own feelings, and really just look at the problem, come up with solutions, and put aside things that are distractions so that we can work through this very pivotal time, because we have the opportunity to go in a really great direction, but that also creates the liability of being able to go in a direction that's not really great. And so we need to go in the right direction right now. And I think that I'm the candidate to fill that seat for District 6 to be able to do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for participating. And just as a reminder for everyone that's watching, the Florida primaries and school board elections are on August 23rd, Tuesday. It's coming up really, really soon. So definitely keep track of all the videos that we're posting to help make sure that you're making the most informed choice for you. But again, thank you so much. Florida primaries on August 23rd. And Sara, thank you so much again for joining us this morning. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.